Hello. Um, I'm excited to see everybody's projects and to see what they did um, with their groups, and hopefully you find mine somewhat interesting. Um, I did a group somewhat based on the Evans model, um, working with the neurotic urban adult. Um, the group initially, I had a plan for it that fell through a little bit. When I started, my group members were immediately on the floor and did not want to get up, which made sense. It was a very rainy day outside. Everybody was really tired. So the plan shifted a little bit from going from a warm up into I guess, more structured middle section to basically just a really long warm up, with the plan being from them going from fatigue to some sort of energy, which falls in line with what Evans spoke about. I believe the quote from the book, which I have here so I can get it right. Um, she frequently encountered complaints and excuses concerning issues of fatigue. She interpreted these issues as manifestations of inner drives towards repression, fear, and dependency, causing clients to resist using their full physical potential. I don't know if that was necessarily the case with this group, but fatigue definitely played a part in how they would probably go on through the rest of their day. So I wanted to shift that a little bit for them if that was possible with this group. So we started out on the floor and we started with a few deep breaths, just to get the body centered. Um, and then very slowly we started moving up the body, starting with the toes up to the head, of just moving it however they felt they needed to or wanted to. In the Evans technique, there was a section that talked about the importance that she placed on the joints. I think in the book itself, it mentioned specifically using a lot of swinging techniques, which we didn't really get into, but I tried to prompt them to specifically pay attention to the joints in their toes, ankles, knees. And while they were doing that, um, I noticed in their bodies and invited them to notice in their bodies what other parts of their body were coming into it, because obviously the joint has an effect on the rest of your body. Um, and if you focused really hard on your elbow, did did this bring up a feeling in your spine? Did it help you maybe find more support through the spine or anything like that? Because Evans also focused a lot on spinal alignment and that providing support for the rest of the body and for posture. Um, and just, I don't know, I guess we were just kind of playing around to see if it had an effect on anything. Um, so that took quite a while, the warm up part where we were just exploring the movement of the joints. By the time we got to the upper part of the body, I wanted to invite them to start getting up off the floor a little bit, in their own time. Um, and once we were off the floor, we started to work with the kind of tensing and releasing that Evans also used in her work. Um, the way that we did it was we would we stuck with the idea of starting with the feet and going back up to the top of the head. Of I would just have them tense their feet or their toes or their ankles, and then we would release it, um, And we did that twice for each part of the body, with the idea of seeing if tensing these different body parts would change the way they would move after the tension had occurred. Or if they felt different, if they carried their body any differently. But also how their bodies would move or not move in response to the tension. I think in a way this was very exploratory for me as well, to see what was brought up for me when I tensed certain parts of my body. Specifically when I tensed up my face, I immediately wanted to cry. And that was very shocking to immediately feel like, oh, I wish I could cry right now, but I can't. And I remembered there was something that Evans had said specifically about the face, in regards to the neurotic population that she worked with. And when I went back and looked at the quote, it was that the face and the hands and the voice are often the last areas to be released. She spoke of the tendency for the neurotic to try and mask his or her feelings by constricting the facial muscles, which otherwise would make his or her emotions visible. Regarding the voice, which she believed was the hardest to release, she stated, self-produced sounds seem to wake up the whole person in an immediate kind of way. And I felt that was true for the group in general, because right after we tensed up our faces and we released them, everybody had to let out a sound. And the coming out of that took a while, and when we did it again, we got out of it a little faster, but I feel that that's really when things shifted. Granted, that was also the end of the session, but no, it wasn't, because we went back and did some stuff with the chests, which I had neglected, but there was a shift in the group feeling, I think, of after we had gotten to the end of it and the voice needed to be released, which wasn't something I had focused on initially, but I saw the importance of it through the group. Another moment that I found, another feeling that came up for me when we were doing the tension and release was I would notice which parts of my body held me back from breathing, which is an important part of being alive. I noticed when we would tense up our backs and our spines, I wouldn't breathe at all. So holding that for a long time was impossible, but I can see how that would correlate with posture for a person going throughout their life. If they're holding it in their backs and feeling that tension, they're not getting the breath through them, and it's going to be hard to, go about their life not tense. That's not entirely what I mean. You're not gonna feel good. You're gonna hold on to any little thing that gets you mad, or sadness, anger. I don't think you hold on to joy through your back, but maybe you do. But it will affect your posture, and as we're studying, posture can really affect the other parts of your life. So yeah, noticing for myself and for the group what was really affecting them, which parts of their body took longer for them to come out of the tension, I think was informative, and would be informative in another group of people who may not be dancers, because my group is all dancers. I don't know other people. I'm discovering. And having another group, or bearing witness to another group, and seeing what comes up for them, if they feel that it transforms their, you know, emotional state, physical state, um, yeah, how that would affect them. I'm assuming it would be a pretty similar way, though they may not be as interested in lying on the ground for as long as they did. Um, yeah, so that's kind of the overview of what went on. Um, yeah, thank you for watching and listening. And yeah, I hope you guys had a good group too. Okay, bye bye.